What's up, guys? This is Nielson Gilbert,
This is Marc JeanBart.
Kozhimala.
and this is our podcast. So, today we're gonna talk about the Algorithm in the Cave. So, pretty much, the Algorithm in the Cave it's a dialogue between Socrates and one of his students, and pretty much it's about these people or prisoners that were in a cave, and they know nothing about the outside world, and all they could see is the shadows that are made from the fire on the wall, and they perceive that to be what's outside. And so Plato continues to talk about saying that if one of the prisoners were free and they were brought into the light, that they wouldn't be able to take the realism of what those shadows were. So, in a sense, the allegory in the cave is about how the philosophers go throughout their life, and so the prisoner that is freed is the philosopher that discovers an idea, or is brought into the light of a new idea. And so he's saying that if he goes back and tries to explain that idea, if they'll believe him or not, and most times that's not the case. So, Marc JeanBart, do you have anything to relate towards this allegory in the cave?
Well, since we're talking about bringing something into the light from the darkness, I can relate a few personal experiences, but one of the key moments was when I continuously moved to different countries. Back in 2009, I still used to live in France, and it was perhaps one of the most shocking yet memorable moments of my life when I learned that I would be traveling to Asia. And back then, I thought Asia was a country full of Chinese people and Asian-looking people. But as I traveled over there, I actually learned that it was just another community like ours. They just have a different culture, and that's what makes them so unique. And as time passed, I learned a lot about their culture. I learned about their food, the way they live, their traditions. But what this hasn't made me into one of them, it has helped me adapt into what I can now consider to be one of my favorite places on earth. After all, it's the epicenter of the Asian civilization. And how this brought me into the light? Well, I started it as an unknowledgeable Frenchman traveling to another country, into gradually me being able to be proud of myself of traveling to that place in the first place. What about you, Joe Kozhimala? What do you think?
Well, Mark, that's a really good question. It's really thought-provoking. Let's see. Well, the time where I was brought to light from the darkness about something was it was basically how I thought about myself. Because when I was 3, I had cancer, and I missed a lot of days of school, so I wasn't sure if I was going to be as smart as anybody, and also just the illness didn't make me as athletic or active as other kids, so I was afraid I'd be weaker or not as smart as them. But then over time I became smarter and stronger, faster. And the reason for that is I looked back on that experience and I realized if I can beat cancer when I was only 3 years old, then that means I can do anything I want if I put my mind to it. And that applies to everybody, basically. So yeah, that's my time where I was brought to light from the darkness about something.
And that's it. Thank you guys for listening. This has been our podcast.